Welcome to GCE 204, Lecture 3, Transfer of Learning. Introduction. In the previous lecture, you learned about various theories of learning and their implication to classroom situation. The significance of education is to be able to use the knowledge acquired in a situation to solve a similar problem under different environments. In this chapter, you are therefore going to learn how previously acquired knowledge can be used to solve problems in new situations. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, learners should be able to 1. Explain transfer of learning. 2. Discuss 3 theories of transfer of learning. 3. Enumerate 5 classroom implications of transfer of learning. 4. State and explain 3 forms of transfer of learning. Definition of transfer of learning. Transfer of learning is simply effects one learning experience as on another, whether learning is motor or verbal. Previous acquisition tends to influence present acquisition. In most cases, previous learning facilitates additional learning. Types of transfer of learning. There are numerous types of transfer of learning as listed below. 1. Positive transfer of learning, PTL. 2. Negative transfer of learning, NTL. 3. Neutral transfer of learning. 4. Specific transfer of learning. 5. Non-specific transfer of learning. 6. Lateral and vertical transfer of learning. Application of transfer in classroom instruction. The importance of transfer lies in the fact that one learning task facilitates the learning of another. The concept of transfer states that learning is aided when instruction is arranged to maximize the learning of multiple responses. In order for teachers to apply transfer in the classroom for instruction, the following steps are suggested. Make tasks similar. Similarity does not mean identical. It means that instruction should be arranged so that there is logical progression in teacher behavior and student learning. The more learning tasks fall within the same behavioral domain, the more students will accommodate them. The greater the dissimilarity between tasks, the more learners will fill in the gaps and the less efficient learning is. Teach for non-specific transfer. Based on general principles or the understanding of something, non-specific transfer is a broader base for transfer because it depends on conceptual or figural understanding. The better students understand something, the more generally they are able to apply that understanding to subsequent learning. Knowing the structure of something according to Brunner 1969 allows the learner to use that same conceptual knowledge when trying to learn subsequent material that has similar structure. Make learning meaningful and relevant. Non-specific transfer is more likely to facilitate learning than non-meaningful, non-specific transfer. One could discuss the idea of expansion and contraction of air, show how the two concepts are related to the air's temperature. Transfer learning out of school. Students sometimes fail to process learning tasks well because they question their usefulness. One way to minimize this problem is to extend all academic or in-school learning to out-of-school contexts, preferably those students can find in their natural environment. Transfer of learning theories. Several psychologists have propounded theories on transfer of learning. Some of them are discussed below. Mental discipline theory. From the Aristotelian-based view of learning comes out this theory in the 19th century that the mind is like a muscle and can be strengthened with continuous, vigorous exercise. The mental discipline theory emphasizes the teaching of subjects such as mathematics, Latin, and Greek, not so much because each will be used in life or in other learning situations, but because they are vigorous disciplines that strengthen the mind. Theory of identical elements. As proposed by Thorndike, the theory of identical elements posits that training in one kind of activity could be transferred to another as long as certain features in both are identical. Thorndike emphasized the stimulus in a learning situation as the vital condition. He suggested that there must be similarity of properties between stimulus 1 and 2 if transfer is to take place. Theory of generalization. The theory of generalization was developed by a psychologist named Charles Jude. The first researcher to question identical element theory was Charles Jude, 1908. The assumption of the theory is that when general principles are taught, they facilitate transfer rather than specific solutions to problems. According to him, one way of facilitating transfer is by teaching learners general principles rather than specific solutions. He was of the opinion that teaching should proceed from general to specifics. This theory believes in Gestalt, an assertion which views learning from a whole or complete form rather than in isolated form. Transposition theory. The theory originated with Gestalt psychologists in the 1930s and emphasized that transfer is the learner's perception of relationships between general principles and specific situations. In other words, if the learner can see and understand a learning situation in its appropriate means-end relationship, the learning is transferable. The better the learner understands this relationship, the greater the transfer. Hierarchical transfer theory. Gain, 1965, discusses lateral transfer and vertical transfer. Lateral transfer is the generalizing of knowledge across a diverse set of situations at roughly the same level of complexity. Vertical transfer is the underlying concept in a learning hierarchy. It may be defined as the acquisition capabilities. Learners operate from two reference points when learning is in a hierarchical manner. Classroom implications of transfer of learning. 1. The extent of transfer in an academic subject depends on the teaching method. Teachers are teaching for transfer. This implies that almost every subject taught in the school has application to other situations. For instance, Latin can be taught so as to improve our knowledge of the English vocabulary. Equally, religion is taught to improve our moral life. There is therefore the need for the teacher to emphasize the similarities or relationship that exist between one subject matter and the other. 2. The teacher should provide the opportunity for his or her students to practice a subject matter being discussed along with him or her. 3. The teacher should endeavor to develop positive attitudes towards a learning task so that the student can be motivated to like the task rather than avoiding it. 4. The teacher should ensure that the topics in a subject are arranged sequentially. That is, the easier topics will be taught before the other ones. 5. The teacher should provide a variety of examples in his teaching. The example can be drawn from life experiences so that the students will be able to see the school as an integral part of the society. This will help them to apply what they learn in school to outside life. Summary. This lecture dealt with the definition of the transfer of learning, types and theories of transfer of learning. The classroom implications were also discussed. It is imperative that those who engage in imparting knowledge learn and understand psychology of learning. This is because the more they understand the fundamental principles of learning, the more efficiently they become in guiding classroom teaching and learning. End of lecture 3. Thank you for listening.